home service businesses on average miss 30% of calls. The swamp, which is like the $1 to $3 million range, they get stuck in there because they don't have strong reasons. It's like, we're business owners, we're here to make money. We're not a charity.
Whatever we tell ourselves and whatever we let come out of our mouth is what we are going to experience in reality.
The sales process is way bigger because if you're doing paid advertising, Facebook ads or Google ads, and you're maybe paying $100 per lead, and you don't answer the phone, like that's a really, really big problem. Like you guys listen to this podcast right now, you know, you want to get rich. You're not listening to this podcast to not get value out of this and make more money. Like be honest with yourself, be honest with the people around you of what your reasons are.
There are certain times where negativity does come out of my mouth, but if I'm surrounded by other people who are willing to call me out on that, pull out of it, get back in it, and let's roll.
You don't want to embarrass yourself in front of your coach. You know what I mean? It's like he holds you to an expectation and gives you the systems, gives you everything to succeed. You have to execute on it. You have to do the work.
All right, welcome back to another episode of the Owner Ops Podcast. I'm your host, Austin Gray. We are here with Andy Walker from Stryker Digital. Andy, welcome to your own event.
Yeah. Thanks so much. I'm glad we're here. We already had a pretty good conversation on the way down. Me and Austin have already been ripping for what should have probably been recorded for the last hour. So we're just going to keep it going. It's been a lot of value, a lot of really good stuff. So you guys are going to get a lot of good stuff out of this episode. It's going to be really, really valuable.
Speaking of which, WhisperFlow, tell us about it.
Yeah, so if you guys don't know about it, it's probably like the cheapest AI product that you could get. So WhisperFlows, you know, like on your iPhone, you can like dictate, you can like talk to the microphone, but the grammar's going to be all messed up. It's not going to get the words. It's not going to like separate paragraphs. WhisperFlow is probably like $10 a month, I think. And so you can use it on the computer. You can use it on your iPhone. I think they just made it so you can use it on Droid now too. So if you're one of those guys, you can use it. But you literally just hold the button, talk like you normally would for a message you want to send. It knows how to separate paragraphs. It knows how to do bullet points when you're rattling off a list. All of those things. I probably haven't really typed a word in like 2 months. 2 months now probably. I have like 500,000 words through WhisperFlow. So I mean, if you guys are using AI and you're prompting AI, your prompts when you're typing them, they're going to be real lazy. You're going to be lazy. You're not going to give all the information you need to give. But if you talk, you can give paragraphs on paragraphs talking really and give your AI a ton of context to get a way better output.
I mean, it's crazy how slow it actually is to type now. I was watching one of the guys who I've been working with recently type into or a prompt into Cursor.
Yep.
And I was like, why are you not using WhisperFlow? And I've only been using it for, I don't know, a month and a half since you told me about it.
Yeah, I can't tolerate seeing someone type. I'm just like, this is infuriating. I'm like, this is so slow and just like, it's like prehistoric to type at this point now. It's crazy.
So that's what this weekend is going to be all about.
Yep.
Using things that can help you accelerate growth. And WhisperFlow is a very, very small example.
Yep.
Can you give us an overview about what this weekend's going to be about as far as like what guys are going to take away from it?
Yeah. So this weekend, so we're Stryker Digital, home service marketing agency. Been working with Austin probably for like over 2 years at this point now, I want to say. And so we put together a smaller mastermind event, really filtered a lot of people out, kept the room really high quality, and even said no to a lot of our clients who wanted to come because the room needed to be minimum. You have to do $1 million per year to get in the room. The average revenue coming, they're all home service businesses. It's probably like around 2.5 million. I think we have people on the high end of like 7-8 million or so. A lot of people in what we'll call the swamp. Maybe we'll talk about the swamp a little bit on the podcast too. Something we're going to talk about, that $1 to $3 million range where a lot of people get stuck. They're in there, but it's really small. It's intimate. There's like 28 total people combined with the speakers and us there and things like that. And so there's talks from other home service business owners about specific topics they're super knowledgeable about. But the main value comes from the network that you build. So it's all about, one, learning a lot of things that can help you grow your business. But I'm more focused on like the value that we're delivering, the people coming, is on the mindset unlocks that are going to happen. Because people build themselves into these constructs. They're just like, they get to $1 million and subconsciously they just don't believe that they could get to $10 million when like you totally can. Like everyone's very capable of it. I promise you, you can get there. And people just lock themselves into this mindset and they avoid the hard problems. They go choose distractions. They go to the hot girl in the red dress to ignore the hard thing they should be doing more of. Like these are some of the topics that like I'm personally going to talk about. Steve Hunsaker's coming. He's the Meta Ads guy. He has his own home service business, scales it through Meta Ads. He has Home Service Accelerator. He like hundreds, maybe thousands of home service businesses have been through that. PJ's come in. He is a cleaner that does like $150,000 a month on really high profit margins because he does no paid advertising. He's talking about Facebook groups here. Seth Fenn's coming, built a pest control business to $7 million per year, did it in 6 years. He's talking. Austin's coming, interviewing Bodie. If you guys listen to Austin's podcast, you probably should know who Bodie is, my business partner at Stryker Digital. But that's like the real picture of it. It's getting really high quality people in a room together and, letting magic naturally will occur when you get the right people around. Someone gives a good speech that stimulates everybody's mind and you just watch the magic happen. And what's special for me that I like to do, it's one of my favorite things about owning a company is creating the environment and the culture to exactly how you want it to be. So like you're giving the people the experience, this experience is going to be beneficial to these people. And so you can cultivate it. You can just make it and just own the experience. And they kind of step into your world, right?
Yeah. Well, on the way over here, you were talking a lot about what's the reason that you're doing this. And you're going to be kicking off the event this weekend. And I'm really interested to hear where you're going to take that because you've learned a lot about going back to the reason why you're doing this by jumping in these other mastermind events.
Yep. Yeah. So in this example, I got to pay respects to Jeremy Haynes. I'm in Jeremy Haynes' mastermind. And so this is something that I learned from him. I'm going to rehash it, probably sounding just a lot like him. So respects to Jeremy on this one. That's super important. Really great guy. Learned so much from him, especially as it comes to mindset. So the first mastermind that I went to of Jeremy's, he gave a talk on reasons. I still actually come back and watch this speech probably once every 2 months minimum. I watch it because it's just like one of those things that you have to have it keep coming. You just need that in your ears, like that type of energy, those thoughts to force you to have conviction in yourself. But the thing is that as a business owner, Austin, you deal with this, I deal with this, especially like if you're listening to this, you probably are a home service business, right? You're delivering a service for other humans. There's a lot of complexity of dealing with humans. A lot of things, you get bad reviews sometimes. Sometimes you don't do a good job. Sometimes the customer is wrong. Like whatever the case is, you're dealing with like an employee out of a fire, they got arrested, a customer complaint, all of the bad things. And you have to sit back and ask yourself, like, why am I doing this? Like, what is my reason? Like, why every day am I willing to just deal with all of this terrible stuff because it sucks. Like it's hard stuff to deal with. It's like super stressful. You don't have that many people you can talk to with about it, which is another special thing about getting all these people who are doing the same thing as you in one room. And so a lot of people talking about the swamp, which is like the $1 to $3 million range, they get stuck in there because they don't have strong reasons. Like something that actually, like I'm using Jeremy's words here specifically, something that you actually give a fuck about, that you really, really care about, that deeply resonates with you. Those are your reasons. So the reasons can be selfish. They can be non-selfish. My reasons at this stage of life are super selfish. I want a nice home. I would like to have a boat. I'd like to have a nice car. They're selfish reasons. I have no shame in those reasons at all. They're important to me. And they're the reason I wake up at 5 a.m. every day. I'm willing to deal with these issues so I can put my family in a nice home, raise kids in a nice home. They don't have to worry. They don't have to worry about being able to play on a baseball team if they want to play on a baseball team and travel to the tournament and things like that. And a lot of people aren't clear on what their reasons are. Like they're motivated people, obviously, or they wouldn't have gotten to this level. But there's no like extra push to like, why would life get like these reasons I have, they push you to work harder and to get better. And eventually you need new reasons once you accomplish, like maybe you can call them goals, reasons as well. But like you need to have a strict set of reasons of why you're doing what you're doing and what the outcomes you're pushing for, or else you're going to just kind of stay stuck on a hamster wheel at that point. Because if you don't have a reason to push further, you're just gonna be comfortable with where you're at. And I mean, there's so many different angles you could go and talk about this of like why like having reasons is beneficial and super important. But those are like, that's how I think about it. That's how, I got framed from Jeremy. And I learned about that there. But, having reasons to push to the next level is really, really a big thing. Because if you ask people, if you go up to somebody, like I'm going to go up to people at our event after I give the speech, I'm going to ask them their reasons, and they're probably going to be stuttering a little bit. Like it might not be easy. It might take a little bit of time to like actually find out what do you actually care about. Like, you can just say my kids and like, great, that's a good reason, but specifically about that. Like what is the reason specifically? What do you actually want to do for the kids that you care about other than your kids as a blanket statement? Like let's get specific about what this reason is. But yeah, that's kind of like the framework of thinking around that, because that like breaks down all those mental barriers, those constructs that you put yourself in. Because when you're clear on your reasons, you're going to blast through those barriers, blast through those walls to accomplish that and get to that point.
Do you remember whenever you had that first experience going to one of these mastermind events and hearing that speech from Jeremy? Do you remember where your head was?
Yeah, I was actually, I think it wasn't just me, like the whole room, I think, I know Bodie, me and Bodie were sitting next to each other and we were like a little bit shook because, I mean, Jeremy's an excellent communicator for one, but just the way he laid it out, it was just like, normally the talk will finish and everybody will get up, like go to the bathroom and stuff like that. But like everybody stayed put for like a minute or 2 or 3 minutes. And I remember I had like a tingling sensation on my head. You know what I'm talking about? Like it kind of feels like your hairs are standing up because I was like, like I will stay stuck here if I'm not clear on this. And it was just really, I think the most beneficial part is that like outside people who aren't business owners, they'll just be like, depending on how the conversation goes, like, all you care about is money and money this and money that. And when you're in a room like that and you're in a room like at the Stryker Growth Summit, it's like, we're business owners. We're here to make money. We're not a charity. Yeah. Like we're here to make money. And so one of the big takeaways I think was hearing him say like, your reasons can't, like he has selfish reasons. I'm like, well, yeah, like I actually do deeply care about my selfish reasons that I have right now. But I guess like society maybe made me feel a specific way that I couldn't like be proud of those reasons that I had. And he just broke down, like that was a mental construct that I built myself into. And he broke that frame for me, just broke it. It's absolutely fine. Now I have no problem telling anybody, like I want to make a lot of money. Like I like to make money. Like doing business and making money is fun. And when you're not making money, it really sucks. Yeah. It really sucks. Like you guys listen to this podcast right now, you want to get rich. You're not listening to this podcast to not get value out of this and make more money. Like be honest with yourself, be honest with the people around you of what your reasons are. So if your reason is you just want to get rich, and you deeply care about that, let that be your reason. That's your reason.
I recently got back from launching a land clearing business down in Austin. And this last winter, I launched a snow shoveling business alongside Bear Claw. And in both businesses, I've implemented Jobber as a way for us to efficiently manage quoting, job schedules, and invoicing, and even collecting online payment. Why? Because it's worked so well for us in Bear Claw and it's saved us a ton of time and headache. So if you are looking for a software that can help you manage the back end of your business, look no further than Jobber. You can visit go.getjobber.com/ownerops, OWNROPS.
Yeah. And I don't know why. Like, why do you think society, especially for millennials?
Yeah.
Like, why did that construct get built in your mind that's like, oh, it doesn't have to, it's not about the money?
Yeah, man. I mean, I remember like leaving my W-2 job. Luckily, I worked with a lot of like really supportive people in my W-2 job, and they knew I was building something and whatnot. And they were all really supportive. But I could tell like for people in different environments, like people don't necessarily like to see, like if you're at the same level as somebody and you start really making jumps and going to the next level and like your lifestyle starts changing, things are noticeably changing for you. There's a little bit of like, they want to feel good about themselves and pull you back down to their level. And so they want to like bring maybe some negativity your way, and bring you back down to that level, which is why like listen to this podcast. You guys might be doing this right now for this exact reason. Like I stuff myself, like the content you consume is so important. So like I'm a big Hormozy guy. Austin's a big Hormozy guy as well. I like Gary Vee as well. Like these people, like they're so growth minded, like they're pushing positive vibes of growth, learning onto you nonstop, and just like stuffing yourself with that and ignoring all of the other noise that's out there, I think was super important. But then as you get to a certain point and you start making money, you control that culture, you control that environment, which is what I was saying, I think is so special about building a company, especially like Austin's a leader. Like maybe we'll talk about the stallions and camels as well, but Austin's a stallion. And I think there's something that's really rewarding once you hit a certain level of business where it starts becoming a little bit more about the team. And now it's like, oh, culture is super important. And, like I need to make sure all of my team is like getting all of that positive to them all the time. Understanding if they maybe have a partner, like a girlfriend or boyfriend, husband, wife, or something that's like not conducive to a positive environment for them. Like that person might not be a hire if they have someone like that in their life. And so like the proximity of just like the positive energy that's put out there, like I don't tolerate any negativity. Like I don't tolerate it at all. Not in my organization. You're not going to be negative because it's easier to be pessimistic. You know, someone like you walk into a room and you're like super happy, and there's someone who's in a really bad mood, and like you feel like you have to be brought down to their level. For some reason, it's like pessimism superior over optimism for some reason. I'm going off like on a little bit of a tangent, but I think it all connects together here, really. But yeah,
it definitely does. Well, and even when we were in the elevator coming up, like I got in super late last night. We're both big on sleep. I woke up as soon as, you know, you came and picked me up. I'm like still waking up, right? And in my head, it's all about bringing the positive energy, right? And so there is a very conscious decision at that point where we could have gone down and you could have been like, how was your flight? And I could have been like, oh, I got in late. Like that would have set us down a complete different trajectory as opposed to let's just jump straight into growth. Let's talk about what we're dealing with. You coached me up on some things that, you know, I shared within my business. Like we're in the swamp, right?
Yep.
We're in the swamp. And your perspective to be able to say, hey, we were there too, and here's how we navigated this. Like that's the whole value of a weekend like this.
Oh yeah. Yep.
To be able to put yourself around other people who have been through the certain phases that you've already been through in your business. That's why I'm here.
Yeah. Yep. And also you're getting the proximity of those people who like we cultivated the people that are coming here. Like we didn't allow, like, I mean, we mainly rejected off of like financial metrics was like one of the main like things. But like if somebody didn't have the right mindset or the right vibe coming, like one, they're probably not going to be our client in the first place. If you're not like cool and someone who we want to work with, we're not going to work together, right? Because like we don't want to bring those people into our happy environment, right? We don't want to bring that in. But what you said, you could have been like, man, I saw you. You looked at me. Your eyes were a little glazed. They were bloodshot. And then I asked you like how that flight was or how the time change was. But you responded good. And that's something that I don't even have to think about it anymore. I ingrained that in myself a long time ago, more as like a child, I think. No matter what, if somebody asks me how I'm doing or like how something went, great, excellent, really good. You know, just not even allowing any negativity into the vocabulary. Like, did you watch the Tony Robbins, Alex Hormozy one?
That's where I was going to go with this.
Yes.
That interview was transformational. I think we've all heard that before, especially if you listen to any Tony Robbins or if you listen to Hormozy. Like we understand that our thoughts shape our beliefs, which shapes our reality as well.
Yep.
Like we've heard that before, but to hear and watch Tony Robbins break Alex Hormozy down like that, it was
The masterclass.
It was an absolute masterclass.
Yeah.
And what I took away from that was that whatever we tell ourselves and whatever we let come out of our mouth is what we are going to experience in reality. And internally here at Bear Claw, our business, I'm very thankful to have multiple stallions on our team. And those guys push me to even be better. And I think that that's where it gets really fun.
Yep.
Because in the early days when you're building, it's just you and you're pushing the boulder up the hill.
Yep.
Consistently. And then you and I talked a lot about this over here. Bodie's a stallion too, right? It's like whenever you have multiple people pushing in the right direction.
Yep.
Because we're not perfect, right? There are certain times where negativity does come out of my mouth. But if I'm surrounded by other people who are willing to call me out on that and say, look, man, that's not the culture we built. That's not what we've talked about for the last 3 years.
Yep.
Pull out of it, get back in it, and let's roll.
Yep.
It's the power of a team.
Yeah. Yep. That's so 2 parts to this. Got to get them out loud before I forget them. One, going to talk about the woo-woo stuff with mindset, with relating back to Tony Robbins, and then 2, I'll be quick. I'll go this one first. I'll be pretty quick about this one. But I like to study billionaires over people that are, maybe like at like a $50 or $100 million level. I get a lot more studying billionaires. And so the consistent pattern that you will learn studying billionaires is that they talk about people, but you can't realize it until maybe like you can start to recognize it if you're a leader in the swamp range. But as the team gets bigger, you realize like, I can't control all of this. Like the team's too big. It's like, I need the right people. And so the billionaires are always talking about getting the right people onto the train or getting the right people onto the bus. And it's all about people. And at some point when you're like the CEO of the company, the highest leverage thing you can do is recruit really good talent. That's the big thing. Because they will, like you have 24 hours in a day. If you have 10 stallions, those 10 stallions have 240 hours in a day. You can't possibly outdo one stallion, can't outdo 10 stallions. It's just mathematically impossible to accomplish it. That's one part, but I want to touch on the mindset stuff with Tony Robbins. And so I was telling you consistently as I get around, like Jeremy Haynes is one of these guys, super high earner, the guy's crushing it. And so it's not just him, but other people like that are in that mastermind are really high level people. There's people with like 9-figure exits that are in there. They're really into all that woo-woo like mindset stuff. It's like not allowing specific words in your vocabulary, always answering good, great, showing up with the best foot forward, and just like controlling your inner talk and the content you consume too, because the content you consume really dictates, because we're all consuming content. We're all consuming. You talked about getting off Twitter because you're not consuming the right content necessarily. And the content you consume is also going to be a big dictator into those thoughts and you realizing what's possible too. Like these people can break frame through content, through YouTube videos, through podcasts, like break your frame. And when you're constantly listening to people who are doing big things, swinging big to hit home runs, it's like, now this is normal. This is why I moved to South Florida, because that's a normal thing in South Florida, is the swing for the fence. It's a proximity thing, which is why I live here, because people are playing the game big. You walk around out here, how many of those huge condo buildings do you see getting built, right? That's a guy swinging for the fences. Like that's probably like $100 million bet, that they're placing on those. These guys are swinging for the fences.
Yeah.
You're like, this is awesome. That's a proximity thing. But yeah, like the mindset was one, and then getting the right people, which we were talking about with your stallions earlier on the train down here too, getting the right people, incentivizing them correctly, making sure their compensation is aligned, because not everybody wants to be an entrepreneur either. Did you read, recommended this to you a while ago. Did you read Ready, Fire, Aim by Michael Masterson?
I started reading it. Yes, I did buy it.
Okay.
For sure. It's on my bookshelf. Feel free to give feedback on this. But in the last 3 years since I've been building, I don't read anymore, and I very rarely consume content. Mm-hmm. And I realized that the whole Twitter thing, that was the form of content that I was consuming. It was like my version of doom scrolling. And so at the end of last year, I did a time audit of where my time was going. And I identified that if I'm doing my morning duties and I'm doom scrolling Twitter, I could be using that time to prepare for something that's ahead. And so, I haven't been reading a lot, and I haven't been consuming content other than what I believe is going to be helpful on YouTube. So like I will actionably search out something on YouTube if I'm dealing with that in business.
Yep. And you consume content to solve problems.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And I'll tell you why, because in my 20s, I feel like I just went into this educational rabbit hole. It's so easy to fall into the trap of reading, paying for courses, watching whatever it is that we're consuming. But at a certain point, if you're going to go 0 to 1, like you have to just buckle in.
Yeah.
And you have to just like brute force it up. And there has to be just like completely axing out everything that gets in the way of that. And for me, that was like, I love to read. I do.
Yep.
And I just realized that if I actually want this business to succeed, rather than waking up and reading for 2 hours in the morning before I get my day started, I just need to work.
Yeah.
And I believe that can change. I know very successful CEOs at the high level continue to make reading part of their day. And you're probably at the level where you've reintegrated that.
Yeah.
But for now, in the startup phase, I just use that time to work.
Yeah. Let me try to persuade you into reading, because I'm biased towards it, because I left reading. Like I used to be a huge reader early days, and then swamp phase and stuff like that. Not so much reading. And over the past like 6 months, I got back into reading. So with like YouTube content and podcast content, I used to consume tons of podcasts, tons of YouTube. And so what I'll do now is I'll also problem solve with content. I'm looking for a specific piece of information that I need to unlock to like solve a problem or a constraint or whatever. And so like lately what I've been doing is I'll go for a walk. A lot of times I think this is super beneficial. I walk, phones at home, 0. Best thoughts happen on a walk. That's like, that's a known studied thing actually. It's the same as shower thoughts. It's the same thing. It's an autonomous thing that you're doing. The thoughts just flow much easier there. But I've noticed in myself, and I want to say that I'm very confident this would be the same for you and literally anybody else, that you are better when you read, because it's the same thing. One of the reasons I watch Jeremy's Reasons talk over and over again is because you're like, I don't need to read the book Atomic Habits. I don't need to read it again and again and again, but you have to constantly fill yourself with stuff like that, or else you slowly fade away. Like you give your sales guy a sales script, and let's say you never role play it and practice it again. They're great at first. Over the next couple months, they're slowly fading from that. So you need those reminders. But the books that I found the most value in, especially now I'm in like more of a leadership stage, I'm out of like a lot of the weeds with things right now. It's more vision, culture, and making the business more defensible, I would say. Is I'm just reading books from the best CEOs. Like I'm reading Frank Slootman. He took, it was Data Domain to a couple $1 billion exit. ServiceNow, which is still a publicly traded company, I believe, $100 billion company. Then he joined Snowflake at maybe like like a $2 billion valuation, the biggest software IPO ever, and it doubled the day of IPO as well. So like reading people from them, because like that Frank Slootman book, huge unlock, and like he just like took these businesses from like 2 billion to 100 billion in like a couple years. And to most people, like, oh, I want 12%, 20% growth. And it's just like, this guy just did this. He's a human being just like us. It's like, look at what's achievable. Look at what's achievable here. And then there's also the benefit of, we get really stressed out as business owners. At least I'm pretty high stress, most high stress I've ever been actually right now. But when you're reading these books and they're talking about all these horrible problems that they faced that are way worse than the problems I'm facing, I'm like, I'm not alone, man. I'm not alone. Like, whew, that's nice. But I guess the benefit, the reason I would persuade you into it is because the stimulation of thought and ideas, but you have to control yourself to not do too many ideas at once, because that's how people really hurt businesses as well, is that your business can only accept so many new ideas at a time, or else you overwhelm the team. They don't know what to implement, when to implement, like, because they like, you kind of half-assed it because you got this idea, then you got super excited about this other idea, so you're doing this thing. And I think it was like a Jeff Bezos thing. One of like Bezos' mentors told him, like, Jeff, you have enough ideas to kill Amazon or something. It was something along those lines. And I was doing that like 8 months ago. And then you also lose some trust in your team when you're doing these things and they never actually come to fruition and whatnot. You like reveal stuff too soon and things like that. So, I mean, circle it all up. Like, that's what I think the benefit of reading has been for me, is just like getting inside the minds of people who have accomplished this. And it's like literally a 2 or 3 hour thing of like, these people accomplish crazy things and they're willing to condense it into one book for you. I'm like, this is so valuable. It's so good. And my attention span's better when I read as well. I notice, like, in general, my attention span improves.
Stryker Digital specializes in SEO services specifically for local service businesses. Bodie and Andy, the two co-founders, have helped me get Bear Claw Land Services to the #1 search result on Google inside my state for my specific search term. If you want to learn more, visit strykerdigital.com. That's STRYKER-digital.com.
So I 100% agree that reading should be reincorporated. For me personally, in my journey, in the early days, I formerly did not have the skill to say no to all the ideas. I would read the ideas and then I would go down the rabbit hole. And then I would read another idea and then I would go down that rabbit hole.
Yep.
And I would read again and then I would go down that rabbit hole. And some of you who are listening to this, especially if you're listening from our podcast, if you're in that 0 to 1 phase, like, that is probably where you're at. You're like, I need to do 100 different things right now, and I'm the only one. I maybe have a couple people on our team. And the distraction from jumping to idea, and we can even zoom out a bit here at this point. I mean, I'm seeing like several people in our group right now. They're trying to run 2 or 3 businesses, and they haven't even hit the $1 million mark yet.
Oh,
like,
yeah. Big mistake.
Big mistake, right?
Yeah, big one.
It's like you have to zero in on the business.
Yeah.
And then even within that construct, okay, so if you solve that and you pick the one business in that early days that you're going to focus on, I ran into this issue as well. I was trying to do multiple services within the one business.
Yep.
And I quickly realized that it is all true what you hear people like Hormozy talk about. If you were just to focus on the one main service and pick one platform to market it,
Yeah.
and focus in on doing what? We were talking about this on the way over here.
The more
What is
better.
the blocking and tackling that every service business owner needs to do?
Yeah. Are you asking me?
I'm asking you right now. Like,
Yeah.
what is that? Okay. First, you need to get leads, right?
Oh, yes.
Then you get leads, and then what? Where do most people drop off?
Oh, the sales process.
Oh my gosh, right?
gosh. Yeah, we had a big conversation. I mean, the thing is, like, that's a constraint at every single level of business. Lead generation and sales are a constraint at every single level. You're always going to need to improve at it. It's going to fall. You're going to improve it. It's going to fall a little bit. Like, it's going to change. But I'll let you continue on. I feel like you had something you wanted to go into there.
I'm going to tie this back into the reading. The reason why I stopped reading books in this phase is because it's actually so unbelievably simple. And it's so simple that all we need to do is just do the thing. So first, we need to figure out how to get leads. And that's actually pretty easy if you work with a company like Stryker, or there are other good agencies out there, even on the Facebook ad side, right? Like, depending on your specific service, you just have to figure out how to get leads predictably. And that's actually very easy to do.
Yep.
If you just work with a pro.
Yeah.
But like some guys,
And you have to have a long-term frame coming into it.
Yes.
Not a magic pill. Don't come to us at Stryker Digital expecting a magic pill. $1 million in 1 week. Not happening.
and yes, if you take the long-term frame and you do the things to figure out how to get the leads, and if you take coaching or advice from somebody else who has done it before,
Yep.
and you just focus on doing that thing. For us, we use Facebook ads a lot. And so in the beginning, when we ran Facebook ads, it's like everyone else. It didn't really work, but I knew it could work. And so we just kept showing up and kept trying new things. And I think that's the difference between why Facebook ads works really well for us and then why some people out there are like, well, I tried Facebook ads and it didn't work. And I truly believe it's because we get to control the inputs during that phase. And so rather than reading at that time, it was just like, I need to solve this one problem, so I'm going to go all in on solving this problem. So then we get the leads, right? And this is what you guys can do with SEO,
Yep.
Google Business Profile Optimization. So you solve that constraint and you start getting leads. Well, then what happens for most people?
One of the problems is that we identified is, so early on, people would be like, I need more leads. I need more leads. I need more leads. So we started tracking the leads that are coming through. And what we found is like 20 to 30% of the calls for home service business. So I even actually talked to a marketing agency that's $250 million a year. I talked to one of their executives. They have data on a lot of businesses, and home service businesses on average miss 30% of calls of all the data that they have. This is a huge business, right? 30% of all the calls. So the thing is like a lot of times, one, you think you need more leads. Some cases you do, right? But most of the time you need to handle the leads that you already have better, because it's answering the phone. If there's a form submission, if you don't call these people in 3 to 5 minutes, like they're moved on, they're gone. They're calling the next person because like they're looking to solve a problem now. They're not trying to wait. So if they get in contact with you, you need to contact them right away. Then you actually have to have a sales script. You have to have discovery. You have to know how to handle, like there's only a subset amount of objections that people give you. I got to talk to my partner. The price is too expensive. This other guy gave me this quote or whatever. And so like there's only a limited amount of objections you get. They're basically all the same. So you have to learn how to handle them in your sales scripts. But we also I listen to phone calls with people, and so they'll answer the phone. They'll just be like, "Hello." Like they won't even say like, "Hi, this is Austin at Bear Claw Land Services. How can I help you?" Like people will literally just say, "Yep, yeah, hello." And it's like, bare minimum like manners, I guess, when answering the phone, like showing respect to the person that's calling. That's not a big thing that occurs, but like it does happen. I've seen it. But then also they just throw a price over the phone. They're just like, yep, that's $500. It can do that or whatever. And just like to the person, like if you just give someone a price and they don't understand everything that goes into the service that you're providing, it's going to sound expensive. Like if you come to me and you don't know anything about SEO, like I'll have people ask me, what's the price? And I'd be like, how can I give you a price if you don't even know what you're going to get? Like I can't give you a price, because if I tell you $2,000, you're gonna be like, oh, this guy says you do it for $500. I'm like, yeah, but what is this person actually going to deliver to you for this cost versus what we deliver, right? It's just a price value equation essentially. But circling around, like the problem is like leads isn't typically the problem that I see. Only if you're like a brand new business that can be like a limiting constraint for you. But the sales process is way bigger, because if you're doing paid advertising, Facebook ads or Google ads, and you're maybe paying $100 per lead, you don't answer the phone, like that's a really, really big problem. If you're paying $100 to get the lead and you don't answer the phone, big problem. Like it's going to be really hard to be profitable if you don't at least answer the phone before you even get your sales process into place. Like bare minimum, phone's got to be picked up. If there's a form submission, they got to be texted or called as fast as possible. And you can automate these things. Like these things, and you probably have a lot of like text automations based off of like, if you do miss a call, you probably send a text to like say, hey, this is Austin. I'm on a job site. Can I call you in 10 or 15 minutes? Do you have anything like that for you? Or do you
Absolutely. Yeah. And so when I realized that the next constraint was we just need to turn our leads into more jobs, I don't remember who said it or where I heard it, but it's actually just common sense. The faster you call your lead, think about it. How distracted are you as a human being right now? When was the last time you went to the airport? I just flew in yesterday. Walking to my flight. I'm looking around, hundreds of people. You want to know what 95+% of people are doing? Scrolling.
Yep.
Okay. If we catch that person while they're sitting down at the airport waiting on their flight and they click on our Facebook ad and we call them, hey, it's Austin with Bear Claw Land Services. I saw that you filled out the form. That's literally all you have to say.
It's so simple. I get it though. It can be hard, especially if you're a one-man operation. Like there's a learning curve to this. Like you don't know what you don't know at all the levels. You don't know what you don't know. But one of the things I want to say that I think I like this was like a year ago. I think we did a podcast together, and I said that like everybody should do this. And then this is what like high performers do. Like people that are actually going to get it. I said something that resonated with Austin, and he did it immediately. So I said on a form submission, when you redirect, typically like you send a form to a home service business, they'll redirect you to like a thank you page or something, right?
Yep.
And I said, everybody should have a video on there of like your face and saying, hey, this is Austin from Bear Claw Land Services. We received this. Here's what will happen. Sure, maybe 30% of the people will watch the video. Well, like only 30% might watch the video, but those 30% of the people that watch the video, they're kind of waiting for your call now because they already saw the face. They already got in contact. There's some level of trust when you put your face out there. And so like, I mean, this goes into the whole sales process and lead generation process, but it's also like high performers take action immediately. So in the mastermind I'm in, I did a call with Jeremy one time, and I was saying how our ads were not performing well. They were fatiguing. And he's like, so why don't you record ad creatives right now? It's just like, take action now. Yeah. Like, let's do this today. And I was like, oh yeah. I was like, trust me, I'm getting off this call. I already have it set up. I'm recording. Like, I'm an action taker like that. And because I know it's expected because I pay for coaching. You guys pay for Austin's coaching, right? And part of the thing is, it's just the accountability. You should just feel a sense of accountability to Austin. You don't want to embarrass yourself in front of your coach. You know what I mean? It's like, he holds you to an expectation and gives you the systems, gives you everything to succeed. You have to execute on it. You have to do the work. That's the problem with a lot of like coaching, consulting courses get a bad rep from some people.
Yeah.
But the problem is like I buy them all. I buy like as much as I can. Like wouldn't it make sense? Like the same with content. Like when I have a problem I'm trying to solve, I buy coaching for it or whatever, sure. Right? But the problem is so many people buy it and they're just like, because they bought it, and they got some of the information, they just kind of feel like the results should happen for them. But it's like, here's the tools, build your house. Like I'll show you exactly how to build the house, where to put the nails, do all this stuff, but you have to do it. Like, I don't know, like you just see it sometimes with franchises as well. People kind of buy into those and kind of feel like they are going to build the business for them. Yeah. It's just so far from the truth. It's just like, your result is on you. Like I pay a lot of money for coaching and never, ever have I ever once thought it was this guy's fault that I didn't get my results? Like, no, like he gave me the information I need and he's accessible and he's there for me if I need him. If I don't get the results because I just didn't execute. It's like the strategy is all there. You just got to execute. This is just like a core principle as a business owner. It's just like when there's those things that are hard, you need to do. If you're in the swamp, this happens. The girl in the red dress is over here and there's this really big, hard, hairy problem and it's ugly and it smells and stuff like that. And it's so much easier to go to the girl in the red dress. But the reality is the girl in the red dress stinks and she has all the same problems as this problem over here, behind the scenes. And so you'll avoid those hard problems. It's like, you gotta, like the people who are most successful attack that problem immediately. As soon as that problem occurs and it's known that this is a constraint or this is a limiting factor, it's like all resources, all energy right now. Like we're going to solve this today. Like I was somewhere with Jerry and we had a problem and I was like, open up we were in Las Vegas in a casino waiting to be able to check into our Airbnb. And I was like, let's do it right now. Like, let's do this right now. And so we opened up in the middle of a casino, found a table, and just got to work and solved the problem. It took like 45 minutes. Just like, it wasn't even that big of a deal, but it's just like, if you allow those things to be put off and just like continue to compound and grow into bigger problems, which a lot of people do, it's like not even a business, like that's a life principle that happens. Like not having the hard conversation with your wife or whatever about something, a parent, like whatever the case is, got to solve the hard problems.
You have to. And I think a lot of people are watching this and they're asking, okay, well, how do I figure out what the problem is? And I'm going to ask you this, but in the early days, and I'll bring this back to where I was going with, why I sort of cut out the reading or, morning routine or anything like that. Just simply working when I was starting the business, it's like, I need to solve how to get leads first. So let's go attack that as hard as we can. That's when I started working with you guys.
Yep.
That's when we started experimenting with Facebook ads. We figured out how to get leads. And then second, once they start coming in, we attack the sales piece. Okay, let's talk to other people who have been there before us. I think where some people run into issues is it's almost like if I was letting my ego get in the way, I wouldn't be here.
Oh, yeah.
Because I would be trying to compare myself to someone like you or Bodie or I haven't met some of the other guys here, but PJ. That's not the point of an event. The point of an event like this is to say, okay, here's where I am. It doesn't matter how old these guys are. It doesn't matter what phase of life they are. It doesn't matter what car they drive, what house they live in. What matters is having the humility to show up and say, somebody has figured out how to navigate this phase that I'm going through right now. I'm going to be humble enough to address that this is an issue that I'm going through, and I'm going to be willing to ask how they handled it. And I'm sure that by you showing up to Jeremy Haynes' Mastermind, when you're at the million, when you're at the 5 million, when you're at the 10 million mark, and you're saying, guys, I'm here, here's the constraint I'm dealing with, and they say, yeah, like, this is how you navigate that.
Yeah.
Having that direction and the confidence in other people who have gone through those phases before can rapidly accelerate growth.
Yeah.
So bringing this back to leads, sales, sweet, we checked those boxes. We're figuring out how to close jobs. Well, then it becomes hiring.
Yeah.
How do I hire?
Yeah.
And that is where I see a lot of the guys, especially the people who are listening, to our podcast and in that 0 to 1 phase. I see a lot of guys make this excuse. So how do you understand what constraint you're dealing with? If you're falling into the trap of there are no good people out there, there ain't no good help anymore, your constraint is hiring. And so therefore you just need to go figure out how to find the great people.
Let me jump in on this because this is actually part of a talk that I'm giving tomorrow. And so when it gets to the hiring point, you've probably felt this way. I felt like you'll feel this way at every single level, especially as you're making bigger hires and more important people, and there's higher compensation. One, you really want, like, they're betting their lives on you, kind of. Like, when you're directly the one hiring them, bringing them, they're betting a lot to come with you, and you're like, oh, I better deliver for these people, right? And so as it relates to lead generation and sales, I'll just bring it to lead generation first. Sales is like just a component that's necessary, right? But predictable leads gives you confidence. And so a lot of people will not make the hires that they need to make because they're scared. They're scared because they don't have a predictable lead flow. And so they don't know, if I hire this person, will I be able to generate enough, they need an HVAC tech, right? And this guy's a really good HVAC tech. And if I don't have enough predictable leads, I don't know if I can fill this guy's calendar. He's going to end up leaving. He's betting his time and life on me. Like, he has a whole family. He's depending on me to pay him. I need to make sure I have enough predictable lead flow in order to keep him busy at work. So that's something that's in the back of people's mind that limit them from taking that risk. But I think you can just easily navigate that by, we've done this with all hires. Like, you work with Puya on our team, right? He's one of the first core account managers that we brought on to the team, and just set really good expectations. I was like, things are every business is sloppy and kind of shitty on the back end. Not shitty, but duct tape. If you're growing business, it's going to be there's going to be messes on the back end that you have to clean up and stuff like that. And it's just here's how the business operates. Here's the problems that we have. Here's just realistic expectations for the amount of work that we have for you. This could go wrong. You know what I mean? And just being completely honest. It's you're not going to go into a marriage and hide all the bad. I mean, I guess you could, but that marriage isn't probably going to work out too well. So when an employee is coming in or a potential prospective employee, it's just being honest and upfront with them about like what the position looks like, the earnings, the potential, the risks that are associated with it. And if it's the person that wants to take on those risks and wants to be a part of something like that, they're probably the right hire at that point, but they're afraid to make it because like every level of growth that occurs, like let's say you're at the $3 million mark, you want to get to $5 million mark, right? The risks are, as a home service business, it requires a capital investment. So whether that capital investment is you have to spend more on marketing because if you want to get to that level, you need more leads to get to that level. You need more sales. If you get more leads, you potentially might need another salesperson and you might need more techs to be able to fulfill that service. You might need a truck and all the equipment for those people. So there's a capital investment in it, right? So there's just a bit of fear that exists because this happens in every single business. Like we brought on another salesperson and it's like, we're fearful. Like, I hope we can keep his calendar full because he's someone we really want to keep. He's good talent. He brings all the right energy to the team. And so like, we feel that stress too. Like it's a big risk, but we're upfront and honest with him about it. And he's willing to accept that risk. And so if two things do go poorly, there's no bad blood because we were just completely upfront about it right then and there.
And I feel like you guys nailed that from the beginning.
Oh, we got distracted. We got distracted in the swamp.
Why don't you define the swamp?
Yep.
Place your definition of the swamp.
This is like a principle we went to a Hormozy workshop and like I already knew this existed, but sometimes people just put a name to a thing and you're like, oh shit, it makes so much sense now. And so the swamp is the $1 to $3 million range, right? That's where you get distracted. You potentially start a second business or a third business because what happens is when you hit a 7-figure business, you have a level of pattern recognition that happens. And you spot opportunities and you're like, oh, I can take advantage of this opportunity. This is something I can do this. I can make money doing this. And so people start the second business. We started a software. We have a finance business. We started those in the swamp. Bad decisions, wrong decisions to do because it comes back to, we've been talking about the more, better, new principle. It's just like all you need to do in the 1 to 3 million range is literally more of what you already do. More of what you already do can get you to $10 million, just more, not even better, more. Like obviously you're doing continual improvements through there. But essentially, the swamp is just being distracted. It's just shiny object syndrome is really what it is. Because in order to get to the next level of growth, which a lot of these guys you're about to see on the podcast too, like what happens in that $1 to $3 million range is like you go from brute forcing, you're kind of doing everything yourself to like hiring, delegating, tough problem. There's like trust issues. You got to overcome some ego, things like that. That's a big, hairy problem. So it's easier to avoid that problem and then go to the girl in the red dress. Like it's easier to do that because like you see all of this, like I mentioned this before, but like this is a big, hairy, shitty, smelly problem that you got to deal with. And it's easier to just avoid that problem and pretend the girl in the red dress doesn't have or like she doesn't smell, right? Like she doesn't have issues like that. But really every business has its shit. They all have the shit. One of the good lessons I picked up at the Hormozy workshop was, this is funny because it's so true. Like every business, like it just has stuff that like shit stays fucked is what they say. Like every business, some stuff just stays fucked. Like it just is that way. You're never going to have a perfectly clean business that runs without headaches, nothing like that. Cause especially in a service business, you're dealing with humans. Like in order to grow a service business, like one of the constraints is not just like that you're dealing and providing service to humans, but you have to scale a human team. And there's going to be employee churn. There's going to be disagreements between employees, compensation, like all of these different things, which are why you need strong reasons, right? In order to push through those. But that's a swamp. That's like a big round definition of that.
So when you and Bodie got to the swamp,
yeah,
why did you start doing? Because at that point you said finance, you had software.
Yeah.
At that point.
Yep.
Is that when you started considering Facebook ads?
Yeah. I mean, like there was just like, cause you have the pattern recognition at this point and like people are coming to you, like your customers bring to you, like they want these things from you and they're opportunities that you could do and you want to please them. You want to do what's best for them. And sometimes, I don't know, you've probably experienced this. Sometimes you'll say yes to things for people just because you want to please them and you care about them and you want to do best when you're actually going to hurt them more by saying yes and doing the thing you're not even good at doing in the first place. I'm sure probably everybody has experienced that to some extent, but yeah, it was just like the 1 to 3 million range was just shiny object. Like it's easy to get shiny object during that time, which is why it's important to have like, that's why I'm so biased towards coaching. Yeah. Is like having somebody to like, check you, just break check you. And like, that's a terrible idea. Like you're already making a lot of money doing this. Like, do you think like $1 million a year marketing agency, you think you tap the whole entire home service market? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it's not even close to reasonable.
Well, it's interesting because, and I've found myself using this excuse as well. Were you guys using market as an excuse at that point?
Not necessarily. Just shiny object was primarily it, and maybe avoiding some harder issues. Like Bodie knows we just the past 6 months he was avoiding a hairy problem. We needed more sales. He can't close every sales call forever. That was like a big hairy avoidable problem for him, and like for me too. Like we're in it together, but that was one of those things where it's just like keep pushing it off.
Yeah. And then you guys just attack that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Just attacked it. It was just like we did let it boil up, and it was like a noticeable constraint at that point. Like we didn't attack it as head on as fast as we should because it was kind of scary and stuff like that. I don't know. It's scary to like allow someone else to like control like a customer facing position in your business, right? Because like you want to control your reputation and things like that as well. But then we did attack it head on, and like after, like when you do solve those big hairy problems, you come out the other side, you're like, whoo, boy, do I feel better? Like, do I feel like Bodie doesn't have to be just on Google Meets 24/7 all day long anymore? You know what I mean? Imagine how good that feels.
But what's easy in that phase, what you're talking about, is going and starting something new and repeating the same process over and over again. And this same thing happened with us. And it was one of our clients. He said, hey, can you guys dig this foundation? We do the land clearing for wildfire mitigation work. We're set up to do trees really, really well. And yes, we have excavators. Yes, we have skid steers. And that machinery could do excavation. So what do? We say yes. Why? Because early on, it's more money. We think it's going to be better. Then we get to the end of the year and we realize that we took our best person, our best leader in the field, away from our core service. Now we're distracted over here. I asked our internal project manager where his time went. 80% of his time was going to excavation. Only 20% of his selling time was going to the trees.
Yeah, is a lower margin, harder business. That's not your sweet spot.
And take a guess on where 80% of our just like layup booked jobs were coming from.
Yeah, and where the happiest customers are and things like that. Yeah, that was a learning lesson for us. I mean, I think everybody learns that lesson. Once you deal with enough bad customers, like people that you shouldn't have done business with, eventually you find that ideal customer profile and you're like, this is it. This is the only people that we can work with because one, we know we'll do good for them. We know they will be happy with us. We know they're just like, they just fit the profile. They fit the profile. And you just have to go through enough problems with, like, you're too money hungry early. Like, it's going to happen. It's impossible to skip that stage. Possible. Like, you're going to say yes to everything when you're just like, especially if you don't have money to start, you're just like, yeah. I'll do whatever you need. Junk removal with this roof that I did. Of course.
Yeah. So seasonality is another thing that I see a lot of people talking about in the swamp. Tomorrow morning, whenever you kick off the event, what are 2 to 3 main things that you're going to be touching on?
One, making sure, because a lot of people I don't think have done something like this before. Like they might have been to events and met other business owners and stuff like that, but like where it's more intimate, making sure that they recognize like the speeches are valuable of what you're going to learn from people. A lot of the value comes from the stimulation of thought that occurs, and then having because we did filtering for the people that are allowed to come to the event. And so like the majority of the magic happens when smart people get in a room together and somebody has some frame breaking or thought stimulation that provokes questions, thoughts, ideas, and stuff like that. And then the network, the groups just in between, those are like, that's where the magic is made in those conversations right there, rather than just listening to the speech. To me, the speech is just about stimulating the idea for all of that conversation. And then frame breaking people, because depending on like, people come from all over, right? They're like Washington, Seth's here from California, he's from Arizona. They're from all over. And depending on like what size of town you're in, like they're in probably like richer areas and stuff like that. But if you're like run a low 7-figure business in a more rural area, you think you're top dog, baby. You think you're top dog, and you got to realize how small that is, how small $1 million business is. Because like the houses here in South Florida, the guys can barely pay their mortgage on $1 million. They can't even pay they need $1 million profit after tax to pay their mortgage. Like that's how small your business is. That's how small it is. So you're just playing small games and having strong reasons. And then mindset into marketing, specifically paid advertising, because everybody needs paid advertising. You need it. Everybody needs it to an extent, but everybody kind of not everybody, but people fumble. I think Steve will probably talk about this too. Like people will spend $1,000, $2,000 and they say it doesn't work. And so they cut spend and stop. But the thing is like Google's $1 trillion company, Meta's $1 trillion company. Like they make the majority of their money through advertising. Like you're going to get leads to this. Like maybe there's like a learning curve in the campaigns that you're doing, like how you structure like your offer and your presentation and things like that. Like these are all things that cost money to test and tuition to learn, right? So like when we started our own Facebook ads, we took $250,000 and we said, we will spend this year. If we don't make a single sale, we will spend every single dollar that we have here because we need to learn this skill. We need to learn this skill because we're doing it nationally against global competitors. So it's even a little bit higher stakes competition, and costs are a little bit elevated relative, like doing it on a local level too. And so it's just like having that mindset of like, you have to be okay with losing money in order to make money. You're not just going to start and just make a ton of money. Of course it happens, but it's not something that you should like rely upon. Like that's going to be your outcome as well. So those things right there.
Fantastic. Well, for those of the people who are listening, where can they find more about Stryker?
Yeah, so we're everywhere. Andy Walker on YouTube, Andy Walker HQ, Twitter, Andy Walker HQ, Instagram. So basically the same handle everywhere. Stryker-digital.com. That's where we are. Find everything that you need there. Bodie, my partner's on Twitter at I Rent Dumpsters. And so you'll find basically everything and more that you need through those channels there.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me out here. This is going to be fun this weekend.
Yeah, it's already fun.
Yeah. Listeners, thanks again for listening to another episode of the Owner Ops Podcast. I'm your host, Austin Gray. Andy Walker, thanks again for being with us. Don't forget, work hard, do your best, never settle for less. See you guys next week.